Hey, welcome everyone to our AU Core Work Group meeting for Thursday, 25th of June. My name is Michael Wilson, Fire Solution Architect at CSIRO on Spark. So I'll be your chair today. Kick off with an acknowledgement of country. HL7 Australia acknowledges and pays respect to the past, present and future traditional custodians and elders of Australia and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So like I said, we've got a pretty busy agenda today. We've got our usual business. We've got for the AU Core Fire IG project, we're going to just go through the results of an electronic vote that we had in the last 2 weeks. We've then got Charlotte finishing off the AU Core MedicationDispense proposal. And we've got Stuart going through the AU Core Endpoint search parameters. And then we've got Heath, who's going to give us a quick overview of AU Core Bundle and look at that. And then we'll talk about next meeting. So today is the sort of last meeting we have for AU Core R3 changes. After this meeting, it's all getting prepped for ballot. So anything we need to get through, we need to get through today. So there's a bit here. So we need to make sure we can get through all of this in the meeting. Usual business, approval minutes. We've got a bit of backlog here of minutes. We haven't had them ready for prior meetings. So we've actually got 3 here to look at today. We've got the Encounter Record Discovery Workshop, which was the face-to-face we had in Brisbane in May. And then we had 2 AU Core Work Group calls as well on the 2nd and 11th of June. So they were all actually sent out earlier this week. I think sent out on Monday. I'm going to jump across and put some links in the chat for people. So we have the discovery. Oh, actually, there you go. Shelley beat me to it. Thanks, Shelley. So we have the Encounter Record Discovery Workshop. And speaking of Shelley, she did an amazing job of minutes on this. There is a huge amount of detail in here with everything that was discussed on the day. So a great read if you weren't there, even if you were there, to go back through and see, revise what happened. We also actually have, as a sub-page to this, if I can show it in the, is the actual, we now have the outputs of our workshops as well. So the workshops have been summarized, the table workshops and the results of those are there as well. So we've got those. We also have the 2nd of June meeting minutes. So we have the recording, the slides there, and this is when we were going through this meeting, talking about the endpoint proposal from Stuart. And so we've got some decisions there that were recorded from that meeting. And yeah, I think that was the primary focus of that one. And then we started to talk about we also did document reference in that as well. And then we had the last fortnight's call on the 11th of June as well. So this was Charlotte taking us through medication dispense. Oh, sorry, it was also Heath finishing off document reference. And then we also had medication dispense going through with Charlotte and that as well. So we have all the minutes, got the recordings, got the slides, all there, and they had been sent out. So I'm open to anyone who's interested in motioning to accept these, either individually or as a group. If anyone's interested in proposing that.
I think we should do them as 3 separate ones because different people will have attended different of the meetings.
Yep, happy to do that. Someone wants to make a motion for the Encounter Record Discovery Workshop? Anyone that was there?
I'll make a motion, Dushi.
Great, thanks, Dushi. So we have a motion to accept the Encounter Record Discovery Workshop meeting minutes. Sorry, not on there. Do we have a second on that? Someone else who? may have been at the event. I have read the minutes. They are really good. They are accurate. Not to influence anyone. Hoping
Perhaps it
someone's
would
on.
help if you go to the attendees and we can
Oh,
just say
sorry.
to people,
Yeah,
do
so
you
we remember
remember
this one.
you were
Okay.
here?
Here are the people. No second.
Am I allowed to do it? Oh, so
Yeah, I think we can.
Was that
So,
David who was going to second?
Yeah, Dave W.
okay, thanks, David. Yep. Okay, so I have a motion from Dushy, I have a second from David. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll launch a vote. So if you weren't there, you can abstain. Let's just find the previous minutes. That should be okay. I think I've got the right one now. Okay. So it'd be good if you can vote, even if you're just abstaining, just so we can get a reasonable number of sorry. All right, we're up over 80% now. So I'll end that in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we have 22 plus 1 in the chats. Sorry, so we have eight plus 1 in the chat. So that's 9 affirmative. We have 0 negative, and we have 14 abstain. So that motion has passed. To open to another motion for, again, either the 2nd and 11th or both.
Richard,
Yeah, Richard, you're in
yeah,
first, I think.
I'll move to approve the minutes for the 2nd of June.
Yeah. We have a second for that one.
I do, but I would also like to propose a friendly amendment.
Yes.
I just want to I think, and apologies that I did not provide the editorial comment earlier. I've had a quick scan today, and the minutes I feel are accurate, but there's a couple of spots where the motion says like motion to dot dot dot, but it's relying on a slide, and we don't have the slide in the minutes. So
Okay.
if we could just make an editorial update to just be really clear what the exact set of things we voted on were, then that's the only thing I think needs to be adjusted.
Is that one on this?
It's on this one and it's on the next one where it says motion to approve proposal. But what we don't do is mark out exactly what the proposal was that got voted on.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, yeah, if we could just do that, then, yeah, very happy. I think everything else is great.
Okay. So was that a second with a
That's a
friendly amendment?
second with a friendly amendment conditional approval, if that's okay.
Yep. Okay. Any other comments on that?
I'm happy to have Danielle's suggested changes made as part of the motion.
Okay, great. Thanks, Richard. No other comments. I'll launch a poll again. Okay, you should say that one. So this is for the 2nd of June. Just waiting for those vote numbers to get up a bit more. Okay, I'm going to end that in 3, 2, 1. So we have 12 plus 1 in the chat, 13 affirmative, 0 negative, and 9 abstain. So that motion has passed. And now we're down to the last one, which is the 11th of June. And Danielle, you noted that you would like the same. Do you want to?
Mm-hmm.
You want a motion?
I'm happy to motion. I'm happy to motion approval of the minutes with on the understanding that we will also put an editorial clarification to make very clear the content of the proposals.
Yep. Okay. Do we have a second for that?
Richard, I'll second it.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments? I'll launch the poll again. Oh, it seems to have moved. Okay. So this is for accepting the 11th of June meeting minutes. A couple more, Cam. All right, there we go. And that in 3, 2, 1. So we have 15 plus 1 in the chat, 16 affirmative, 0 negative, and 5 abstain. So that motion has passed as well. Thanks, everyone. So we had a bit of backlog there, but it's good. We've got through those now. Back up to date. Just looking at action items, we've got some action items from previous meetings. I don't think Corey's on the call. I didn't see him here, so I don't think we've had an update on that one. I don't think any ticket has been raised against AU Base against that yet, so that one's still outstanding. I don't think Angus was in the call, is he? So no, I don't think so. So they're still, if he's wants to raise those, he can. The last two are actions on me. I haven't done either of those yet. I think they're going to be things that we look at once we get through the rest of the normative changes for R3. So one of those is about adding to one of the agendas our AU Core inclusion principles, just to update from TDG to work group. And the other one is on providing the outputs of the harmonization group. Just waiting for Tor to come back from leave to sort that one out. So they're still outstanding as well. Some other updates. The season 3 of the Spark podcast is now out. So there's a new episode that has dropped for that. And I don't know, Shelley, do you have the link? But there's a QR code there. I think I do have a link. I'll put in the chat. Yeah, I do. So put that one in the chat. These are pretty awesome, all these. If you haven't seen any of them or listened to any of them, there's a heap here from season 1 and 2, but season 3 has just dropped the first episode. So they'll be coming out. They're a great listen. Lots of great things in there. And then the other update is that we currently have an expression of interest out for an AU encounter record project. So as we just sort of showed in the minutes, we've had 2 discovery workshops now on encounter record. We had one in Hobart earlier in the year. We had the one in Brisbane last month. We've got plenty of interest about running a project on encounter record. So we've put out an expression of interest. So if you'd like to be involved in that project, I'd recommend you complete this type form just to register interest so we can help drive the requirements for this as we move forward. We'd be looking, if we get enough interest, to setting this up as another HL7 Australia project, probably under this group, under AU Core. So if you've got any interest in that at all, I would recommend signing up there. And I do have a link for that one as well. If you're interested, maybe even do it while you're sitting here in this meeting. There's not too much involved to sign up, but then you can be on the mailing list for that and get involved once we get started. Yeah, Heath.
I've snuck in a slide.
I just saw that. I was like, where did that come from?
Exactly. Sorry, just in time. So basically a quick announcement around HL7 Australia. The tickets have not yet been released for this. If someone can actually provide some dates, I think the dates are sorted, but basically we are having a Fire Connect-a-thon in Brisbane in August. Dates are okay, no one's saying it. So basically, there's going to be 4 tracks. AU Core requesting Smart App Launch, but we're adding a new Connected Care Consumer Journey track, which is building on the Connected Care demonstrator that the department showcased in Canberra in November last year. And what we're trying to do is bring together all that we've been doing in the past regarding the AU Core requesting a smart tracks and patient summary, etc., into an integrated track to provide end-to-end data exchange. So we're being guided by what was demonstrated in Canberra. But rather than in being the art of what's possible as it was conceived, we're actually going to do the possible. So this is going to be more of a hackathon. Come along and actually do stuff and bring what was actually demonstrated as videos and stories to reality. So some of these sorts of things we're talking about, bringing together provider directory, service requests, patient summaries, smart forms. We're going to be looking at bulk fire, SQL on fire, population health, all those sorts of things. So beyond what we've been doing. So we're looking for expressions of interest for this track in particular. There is this survey that if someone can put that link in the chat, I didn't get around to doing a tiny URL. So this is a survey for all the track preferences, but in particular, I'm putting it out there for those that might be interested in a connected care EOI track. So thank you.
Thanks, Steve. I'll put the link in the chat. Okay, now moving on to the AU Core Fire IG project. Like I said, this is our focus now on getting the last changes in for release 3 before we go to ballot. So just a quick update. We had an electronic block vote that went out. You may have seen the email noting that this went out. So this was just a couple of things that we had missed on previous proposals for new profiles in AU Core. Some things we'd missed: the default obligations and capability statement requirements. So we had this block vote go out, and this was the vote here. So we had 4 jurors on it about diagnostic report obligations, the ACTA capability statement requirements for document reference, and then we had the same for diagnostic report and endpoint. So there were a few proposals there. So we had 17 people vote. They were all affirmative. So that motion had passed, and that just meant that it freed up us in this meeting to not have to do those things. They were all default obligations. They're things were applied to every other profile in AU Core. So nothing too contentious there, just some stuff that we had missed in proposals before. So that motion had passed, and those changes will go in with those new profiles. All right, getting on to the meaty stuff now. So we've got the medication dispense proposal, which is Charlotte took us through in the last meeting, and we didn't get quite through all of it. So I'll hand over to Charlotte now to take us through the rest of that.
Thanks,
Are you
Michael.
happy to share? Are you happy to share, Charlotte?
Oh, I was going to say, if you're happy with
Oh,
what
no,
we
I
did
can.
last time,
Yep.
where we could just jump through the slides,
Yep.
that would be awesome.
Yep, we can do that.
So I think we started off on the must support elements. We've gone through the must support elements, and we're up to the value, the obligations and the value set bindings and search parameters. I believe is where we left off on. So we finished our motions to complete. Essentially, I believe we start on about slide 8. Did you want me to recap any of last meeting, or did you want me to just move straight into it? Sorry, Danielle.
No. I think that's good. Do quick recap because I thought we still had a couple of must support. I thought there was like one slide left, but the recap may answer all of that for me. Sorry.
That's okay. So just as a recap, we want to move essentially the AU Core MedicationDispense base profile, and we would like to make it a core profile. So jumping into, we covered on the next slide. So the medication scope and purpose. So the scope of our project is just to define the minimum requirements for a dispensing record, which we approved with editorial changes. So just ensuring that this is indicating medication or product that has been dispensed for a named person or patient, including the description and supply of that medication with the instructions for administration. May I jump to the next slide, please? We approved the must support elements on the screen for the first slide.
Except
I
for
think-
identifier, we took identifier
Yeah.
out in that
We
one.
did take it. Yes, we took identifier out for that one. Next slide. Again, I believe this was approved as well with the change of cardinality for subject being 1-to-1 instead of 0-to-1. I don't believe there was any changes that we had on that one. And Danielle, were we up to this one then for the must support for, we had a discussion on the dosage instruction and including the text as a must support element was where we got up to on this slide here. So
Yeah, I was thinking we had one more slide to go.
yeah,
Yeah, it's this one.
you're right. Sorry, that was me. So just a recap of this slide for the must support element. So we were making a when prepared date and time as a must support, and being you will always have a prepared date and time. We were making the when handed over wasn't going to be a must support element, and same with notes. And then the dosage instruction, the change that we had was to include it as a text string. So ensuring that we've always got a dosage instruction on the dispensing item. I'd like to make a motion if that's a. Oh, sorry, Danielle.
I have to check because I think the slides have changed slightly, and so what was previously, let me just confirm, just yeah, okay.
Previously,
Yeah, no,
previously we couldn't
this
have
is fine.
text.
This is fine. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought something wrong, and that's my mistake. No, I think this is fine. Okay, apologies.
Sorry, Daniel and Michael and Sharon, I do have a comment to make on this slide. The when prepare, the proposal of 1.1 must support. Sharon, I did send you an email and I copied Heath on that to make a state case for relaxing the 1.1 to 0.1 because of a real life situation where when we have CDA data that don't have when prepared data, and when we need to map it across to the file space in the medication dispense, that makes it not implementable in quotes in the sense that we either have to be forced to put in a data absent reason, which is not ideal, or be considered non-compliant. So this is a real use case, and I would like to seek a consideration of relaxing this 1.1 to 0.1. I think Heath mentioned the possibility of relaxing it at the last meeting before it closes. So I still want to raise this requirement as to whether or not we can relax it to 0.1 instead of 1.1.
So yeah, sorry I didn't get back to you, Steve, on your email. I think your positions have been are reasonable. I think in an AU core, we probably do need to be careful about what's mandatory. Just a matter of process. I think we did motion on this, and
No, we didn't
we
motion.
didn't motion on
No,
this.
we ran out.
Okay.
We ran out of
didn't.
time.
Yeah.
Full
We
motion.
ran out of time.
Okay, because I do remember the text was conversation as well, so which was included in the motion, but I assume that we had motion, but we didn't get there. So I think that I do agree that from a core perspective, we should probably be a little bit careful about making that one mandatory if you feel that there is a use case for it.
There's a use case that where that when prepared isn't a possible date. I'm happy to relax that further if there was just something I hadn't considered or hadn't come across, I suppose. Is probably more like it. So if you'd like to change it and we would relax that requirement,
Yeah, I would like to make a friendly amendment to change or to relax the constraint from 1.1 to 0.1, if that's possible.
Richard's got his hand up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether if it's important to include this, is this a place where we'd prefer to have it 1.1 with a data absent reason when you don't have the information? I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying it's another option here if there's a strong reason for it to be mandatory. But I don't know the details enough to know whether that winds up being a useful option or whether we should just go with 0.1.
I think that that would be ugly to force people to use data absent reasons, and because in the real life scenario where when you don't have data, then you don't have data, and forcing 1.1 is not something that will be useful. And also, when you look at the data item, it doesn't necessarily have significant clinical impacts. So for that data to be present. I have argued previously that a more clinically significant data item would be when handed over, but I'm not pushing the case for further constraint on when handed over. I just want to argue the case for when prepare the 1.1 to be relaxed to 0.1.
So sorry, Heath, you go.
I was just going to say, I think that would be probably a downstream IG that would maybe constrain that towards what you're suggesting.
Yeah. So just the motion, the friendly amendment motion that I'm trying to make now is to for the data item when prepared, relax the constraint to 0.1, and that would be wonderful if that can be done.
Okay.
Could I ask, and I'm just going to call you out here, Philip, is this something that you guys have in your system and share, typically for the when prepared date?
Let me go take a look. Can we just can we park that for a few moments and I'll come back to you and answer you?
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, Danielle, just looking at your comments there in the chat, we did discuss that in the last meeting, and we did in the information session as well, with Charlotte, the position on using when prepared versus when handed over.
So I suppose where we came to with using the when prepared instead of the when handed over, because it was when handed over is mandatory in US Core. The when prepared date is essentially it's filled out by the dispensing software more often than the when handed over, because the when handed over then links into likes of billing for dispensary, especially in likes of community pharmacy. So it was a more readily available date time that would provide that accurate information opposed to the word handed over, which when handed over would be more ideal. However, it's just not recorded.
Yeah, I understand that. And as I said, my preference is to have that have sort of at least have a must support flag on it, but I'm not pushing for that. My main concern at this moment in time is to relax the when prepared to 0.1.
Yeah.
And look, I think that's fine for me. I think the reason I'm raising a question here is simply that it's on the edge for me about whether this is AU Core or workflow. I think it's a boundary question, and I'm not sure which way we should fall. So I guess making it optional must support is more comfortable than mandatory must support.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
I
as
would be
optional
more
must
comfortable
support.
with that.
Okay.
Danielle, I just looked. We do support both concepts. I'm trying to get into our like our technical documentation that our clients can see to see if realistically it's actually supported by Australian workflow. But what we present to the people using our file server is yes, both of those are possible right now, at least today.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do handle both, but the field that it falls to, even in our outpatient pharmacy, is the exact same field of when we dispensed it. We don't actually capture in our pharmacy application when it was handed over per se. So we maybe wrongly have it mapped that we send the same date and time in both of those fields.
I suspect that's reality, Phil, and again, it's
Mm.
probably coming from US Core, like because US Core have said when handed over that you've probably done it that way, and so it's the same value in both.
Yeah, I think in the US core, the conversation is more about the kind of clinical utility or the clinical importance, and so hence they mandated it when handover.
Well, okay, in that case, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm happy
it's
to,
mapped to the same
yeah.
same field in the same table
Yeah.
for both of those right now, at least.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
assume you have an element called something like when dispensed or like dispense date time or something.
Yeah, that's effectively like it's in our dispense history table, and it's the dispense date and time is what would is mapped to basically be put into the both when prepared and when handed over fields.
Yeah, I agree, Philip, because the concept of dispense actually sort of encompasses the concept of prepare and handing over, plus patient information or education as well.
Look, in that circumstance, I'm happy to now, with that information, and thank you, Philip, to motion approval of the proposal that's on screen, and noting that we have, I guess, adjusted that from from 1-to-1 on when prepared to be like a 0-to-1. So yeah, I'm happy to motion approval of this proposal.
Thanks, Danielle. So we have a motion for this proposal. Do we have a second?
I'm happy to second it.
Thanks, Charlotte. Is there any other questions or comments on this before we launch into a vote?
I have a question about the values that people actually get in this. It sounds like if I've received a record, when I look at the value in when prepared, I don't actually know if it's a when prepared or when handed over value. And so any work I make with this has to be based upon the fact that the reliability of when prepared, when handed over is going to vary from system to system. Does that sound about right?
A lot of systems report on the when prepared value, and I'm just going to speak from a workflow point of view with community pharmacy. When we provide that information to a GP, to a hospital service, it's the closest date. It's the closest date and time that the acknowledgement of a patient to of taking that medication itself. So if the patient's paying for that item or having that item dispensed to, I suppose, with the intent of taking that item at that point in time, which is I suppose, the value, because it also lets the clinician know, or the client know how often they're getting it dispensed. So they could be getting it every second day, every week. So it's just I suppose the frequency value and what that frequency is, regardless if it's the when handed over or when prepared. Does that help answer your question, Richard?
Yes, thanks.
That's all good. Are we happy to launch into the vote? Does anyone else have any further questions or comments?
No, I'll launch the vote then. Can you say that, hopefully?
I can't
No,
see the vote on
no,
my
I
screen.
think I may try
No.
again. It's interesting. It's behaving a bit funny for me.
I may be able to relaunch it if you would like.
Yeah, I can't. I've lost the relaunch button. That's
All right.
very
Let me. Oh, okay. Something weird just popped up. Let me try to. Okay, vote for current motion. Yeah, I can't relaunch.
Can't launch it. Let me just,
Too many votes.
Well, let's do an audio vote.
we'll just give it 2 seconds. I'll just resave the poll and then see if I can launch it.
I don't know what's happened.
That's very weird. A poll result. Oh, it's being shared. Okay, so someone's sharing a poll result, which may be me. I can't launch it while it's being shared.
Okay.
What was the last one we did? Was it it was a meeting minutes, was it? So that was the meeting minutes. Stop sharing that one. Go back. And go back to conversation. Launch. There we go. Hopefully you can see that now. Yes, I got votes coming in. Great. That's bizarre. Okay, we've got about 60% of people voted. If we can get more votes in. All right, getting up there now. All right, I'm going to end that in 3, 2, 1. I'll share results. So we have 20 plus 1 in the chat, 21 affirmative, 0 negative, and 3 abstain. So that motion has passed. Thanks, Charlotte. We'll jump to the next one.
Fab. Thank you very much. So I just wanted to highlight, I suppose, and obviously we'll make a motion in a moment, but the AU Core Medication Dispense obligations and capability statements and requirements, they will accept and follow all the AU Core defaults. There will be nothing special, and they'll go through on the must support defaults and capability requirements. Does anyone have any comments or questions? If not, is everyone happy if I make a motion to vote the AU Core Medication Dispense, sorry, we'll take those default obligations for must support obligations and the capability statement requirements.
Thanks, Charlotte. So we have a motion for that. Is anyone interested in seconding that motion?
I'll second.
Thanks, Heath. Any other questions? Not. Here we go. I can relaunch poll now. That will work. Must be user error. Get a couple more. Can we get a couple more? Maybe just get us over the 80%. No bots on here not voting, are there? Okay, there we go. All right, I'll end that in 3, 2, 1. We have 23 plus, well, I think there was a +1 in the chat. Yes, there was a +1 in the chat. So 22 affirmative, 0 negative, and 2 abstain. So that motion has passed as well. All right, Charlotte, next one.
The next topic would be to discuss the value set bindings. So for the must support elements, where they do have that value set bindings, I've taken this directly from AU Base to display what those value sets are. Does anyone have any questions or queries regarding what these are? I haven't made any changes to what's in Base. Danielle?
Well, no, that was my question. If there's no proposal for changes, then I don't. Yep, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's not change. Good. Let's move on.
Yeah,
Yes.
that there's no change.
I
Yeah,
don't
we
even think we need to vote on it.
No.
Like, it's only a vote for a change.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. No changes, all derived from Base.
Okay.
Next slide then, please, Michael. So we're up to search parameters now. So I believe I've only got 2 slides left, this one and the next one. So the search parameters that I've got as the shall, I suppose the shall references as patient and patient status. This is essentially a snippet from the medication request to align with the medication request search. Does anyone have any comments? I suppose from a discussion point from the information session, I haven't included any further referencing on here that isn't in the medication dispense. As a minimum, we wanted to align with it and not offer any new types. I do have the authorizing prescription change on a different slide, so we could split them into the 2 different motions. Does anyone have any comments on the parameter search for patient? If there's no comments, then am I able to make a motion to include the patient and patient status for the search parameters under the AU Core Medication Dispense profile, please?
Thanks, Charlotte. So do we have a second for that motion as displayed on the screen?
I'll second it, Richard.
Thanks, Richard. Any other questions or comments before I launch that vote? No.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, there are. Sorry, just
Yeah, I
pop in.
purely have a comment that every time we include a search parameter and combination, we have like a basic may inclusion and a description of how that works within our capability statements. So just saying for people that with a patient plus status, that will also rock up as a what does status look like when you implement it. That's it.
The standard guidance. Yep.
Heath?
I haven't had enough time to think through this completely, but I'm looking at the combination for patient and status as shall. Just wondering if that's a little bit too strong for a combination like that.
Are you thinking should?
Yeah.
Is this, Charlotte did mention that this was copied from the medication request. So that's what we have in AU Core
I
now.
think in medication
request.
request it's a bit different. I I kind of feel like there's only one status that almost matters in dispense compared to request. That's all, and that's completed. That's going to be shared. I know there's some other statuses like potentially stopped or on hold, but
Yeah.
I think you would want to probably just like as a bare minimum, just say I want all the dispense to this patient. I don't
Yeah.
really care the status. I'm not fussed too much. I just wanted to have that discussion before we went to vote. I don't, you know, I guess we're talking about requesters, but also responders. I mean, again, maybe Phil or someone want to comment. Yourself, Charlotte. What do you think? Rather than just blind, like that's a pretty substantial requirement.
The status that we do have, I suppose, where I've just kept it as the shall is the must support that we've got for the status of the dispense for the item. So it was already a must support element inside of the profile. That's why to align it with the medication request, I just thought I'd keep it in there so that the profiles matched across for the patient search parameters.
And Danielle's
Heath,
put in the chat. Danielle's put in the chat the current options for those status as well.
If I do see a use case, at least one use case for including a search on status, if you already have a medication dispense that has been sent out as completed, and then you want it to be updated to cancel for some reasons, then you do need to have those kind of values. So therefore, I know that the previous one that has the status of being completed is now superseded by the latest one, which state that it's cancelled. So I then know that the dispense hasn't been done eventually.
Yeah, but would you search on that though, Stephen? Like, or would you just search all? That's kind of where where I'm coming from. What would be your default search? Would you be always wanting to provide a status to be clear about what you're asking for?
I might want to search dedicatedly on whether the dispense has previously been completed and now be cancelled.
I suppose if I was sending information from my system over through to, let's say, prescribing system, I would always want to just send the completed items, not what's been cancelled or entered in error, because they're not relevant to the GP or to the prescriber, sorry.
But then you later on might want to send out an amended one, which is cancelled if that happened.
Yeah. Or show all cancelled and completed, and then the rest of them I would like to. I suppose it's the filtering from a clinician end, from I suppose using a clinician hat.
Well, it is a possibility or distinctly possible use case where you might want to send and enter in error because the previously released dispense record was wrong for some reason. So those three are important in my opinion.
Yeah.
Could I interrupt and just say we've got a time sensitive kind of thing today, and it seems like the second part we need more discussion on. Doesn't mean it would be out of this release, but maybe we take it out of this vote and in fact we raise that as a ballot issue and then we vote on that during ballot so that we get like what we can all agree on in this meeting and then do the other one when we've got like more time to actually discuss what we want.
We do
Just
have a
procedurally,
motion,
we had a motion, we have a second.
All right.
Peter, you proposing a friendly amendment to that motion?
No.
No. So
Can I propose a friendly amendment to my own motion?
Yep.
Okay, my friendly amendment is we change on the status, patient plus status, we change shall to should for the purposes of this motion, and then that can be ranked up or down later in ballot.
Okay.
Did I second? No,
No,
who
no.
second?
Charlotte second.
Okay, there was
I'm
another
happy.
one.
Do I
Charlotte,
re-second it?
So are you happy with that amendment to the motion?
Yeah.
Do you still second with that amendment?
I still second with that amendment. I'm happy to rank it up and down in ballot, and as long as we can still search on the patient and for status.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm okay for the second one to downgrade it to should.
Okay. All right. So we've amended the motion, and it's been seconded so that the patient is a shall search parameter, and the patient plus status is a should. So do we have other comments on that before I launch the vote? So we'll relaunch that vote. So it's not as seen on screen, it's the should on patient plus status. Okay, I'll end that in 3, 2, 1. So we have 18 plus 1 in the chat, 19 affirmative, 0 negative, and 4 abstain. So that motion has passed. And that wasn't the contentious one. Good, Charlotte.
Finally, I suppose the final change to search parameters that I wanted to, I suppose, bring to our working group is the searching parameter on authorizing prescription. So this is definitely in the old, I believe, may is the terminology I'd like to use. Essentially, there may not be a authorizing prescription. There could be, but the opportunity to search on it. Essentially, it's a non-mandatory search type, but I still would like to include it in AU Core. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Danielle?
Okay.
So that's a may?
A may.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, I got no problems with that.
Does anyone
So
else
I
have any
think with a
questions?
May is essentially saying this might be useful to people, sort of highlighting the attention. There's no obligation on anyone to do anything with it, but we've used it in the past to sort of say that, hey, this is something you may want to investigate and look at using, but without any obligation to implement it.
Yes. I would like to make a motion then to make this make the search parameter authorizing prescription a May requirement in AU Core MedicationDispense. Does anyone second my motion?
Danielle, I'm happy to second.
Any further comments or queries?
Okay, looks like I can launch a vote. Okay. Voting on a May search parameter for authorizing prescription, which the FHIR parameter is actually prescription, but it maps to authorizing prescription.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna
Sorry,
end
quick
them.
hand up.
Let it
I'll just finish the vote.
finish. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'll end the vote in 3, 2, 1. So we have 19 plus 1 in the chat, 20 affirmative, 0 negative, and 5 abstain. So that motion has passed. And Heath, happy for you. Respond.
I'm just thinking about when prepared as a date, and obviously we would want to combine that with a patient. But again, I don't think it's any more than the May. So do I just shut up at this point?
Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe for
ballot comment.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because we do have a few more topics to get through today. That was the end of yours, wasn't it, Charlotte? That was everything you
I'm
had.
done. We're finished.
Well done. That was great effort.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
We will jump straight into the next one so we can get through this meeting. And this one, Stuart, do you want to share?
I'm happy to share. Yep. I'll just put a request through. Hopefully it works.
Yep, you got it.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, we are back with Endpoint. I'm hoping that this will be the last thing that we need at the moment. But it was flagged that we need to do one more request with community. So for a quick recap, we're proposing the inclusion of an endpoint profile in AU Core. It was recommended by community that that is also included in AU Base and then derived in Core. So we've been working with the FHIR work group and the Core work group to get this sorted. And we're sort of getting through that quite well at the moment. But essentially, we're looking for maintaining compatibility for NHSD and HCPD for endpoint, as well as backwards compatibility with SMD and a few other things. We're starting purposely with a bare bones profile. This is relatively empty in the grand scheme of what an endpoint could be, just so that we can work out how this is going to work for community, and we'll build on this as time goes. So, come on, there we go. At the moment, we have an open PR with Dushi on a feature branch to include the work that we've done so far. We've had the PR approved by AU Base, and then we went to FHIR work group yesterday to rehome some of the terminology that is already existing within PD.
Sorry, Stuart. I think we're losing you.
And move it
Not just
into
me.
Base.
We just lost about 30 seconds of that, Stuart.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm having so many internet issues this week. It's been a nightmare.
We got you back a bit now.
Michael, can you share?
Yeah,
that
I'll
might make
share.
life a little bit.
Yeah, let me share.
Can you share your screen, Michael? Maybe.
Yep. Yep, I'll do that now. Hopefully that. Does that?
I'm on current state. Yep.
That one? Or the one before? That one.
Yeah. Current state. You're on. Cool. Thank you. I can't see your screen. We flag very home as the FHIR base R4 values inside those code systems. So that was approved. Sam's working on those for us today. He's going to get those up into the existing build that we have for base, and we'll bring those over as quickly as possible. With the core side of things, we have a current block vote out, or that's been finished for the capability statement for endpoint in AU Core. And then I'm bringing you today the search parameters for endpoint in AU Core. So we've put together what we believe should be the search params as requester responder. If you want to jump to the next one. Yep.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do. So this is our proposed search parameters and cap for requester. And I'm looking to make a motion on requester and responder. Happy to do them separate, happy to do them together if anyone here has a preference, but this is what we're proposing for requester currently. And the next slide will show responder. Of course, comments, questions, anything at all, amendments to wording, whatever you need. Heath.
What's the identifier that we're searching on?
The identifier we are searching on is, let me just bring up my build that I have here, bear with me.
It'll be the identifier of the
try.
endpoint. So it's the endpoint's identifier data element.
That's the one. I'm just gonna, let me try and share again, see if it works, and we can have a click around on the IGs to look at some of this stuff. If it dies, I apologize.
Dushi's got a hand up.
Cool, thank you. I'll come back to you in a sec, Dushi. Cool, this is where we're at the moment. But yes, that's from base R4 and was included in the PD endpoint as well. So we've included it back in core here in case there's any implementations that use search on ID. And this is the identifier in base R4, if that helps.
So I guess I'm asking in reality, like I've got a SMD or I've got a Fire endpoint, or say I've got a Fire API. What's the identifier of my Fire API?
It's
and what's the
a
system?
business identifier by definition. System is a great question, actually. Let me have a look.
So I guess what I'm saying is, who's assigning these things? What are they? It's just, I can't think of, I don't know if Brett, you've got some history around how identifiers were used, or
yeah, it'd only be like the managing controlling entity assigns an identifier. So it's like, if it was like a HealthLink endpoint, it'd be the HealthLink identifier which is a reference basic. It's almost like a local ID for the managing system. But that kind of implies, I don't think it's necessarily a standard thing. Yeah.
Sorry, I know I haven't been asked to speak yet.
I was
Can I
just about to
jump
say
in?
here, Dushi, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think we voted on must support an identifier, so I'm just questioning the value of specifying a search parameter for an element that's not
must support.
Especially
a shell.
Fair enough.
Oh, did we not? Oh, no, then we
No.
can't. No, we cannot mandate search for something that isn't actually supported.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, no, we can't.
Yeah, I think
Well,
we
that's easy enough
won't
then.
normally put search parameters against elements that don't have must supports on them. There's no must support and there's no search parameter in AU Core.
What are the agreed must supports?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to load back up, because we've only got
I'm
2
just
or 3.
looking at the ticket now. It's status, connection type, name, payload type, and address.
So what about organization?
No.
No, not a must support.
So we're going to take that one out too?
Yep. So for the ones that we do have for must support, I'll bring them up side by side here because that'll be a lot easier for us to read, and then I'll make those changes.
It sounds like there's not enough information that in endpoint that is must support for you to usefully search for endpoints. Because if you're going to search for endpoints, you're going to want some sort of scoping or identifying information. And maybe we haven't got enough. Because like status, connection type, payload type, well, maybe address helps you identify it. So maybe address is enough to identify the endpoint you're interested in. Yeah.
Well, that's what you're
Yeah, that's
looking for, though.
yeah.
It's the address is what you want to
Yeah.
It's
actually
the
get
actual
back.
URI. Yeah, the address. Yeah.
So you wouldn't
So
be searching for something you don't know.
No, so
right.
we removed address from search params for that exact
Yeah.
reason, right? Like you either know
Yeah.
it or you don't. You can't search for it.
Right. So, I mean, searching for endpoint, it's sort of like there might not be enough in endpoint to do a useful search, that you find endpoints by searching for the things the endpoints are associated with, and then from there going on to endpoint. So you search for organization and then find endpoint, or a healthcare service and then find endpoint. So maybe you don't actually, that endpoint itself can only be found in the context of an associated entity.
Daniel, you just dropped your hand.
Yeah.
I did, because I'm not actually sure it's useful to specify, but I will say the in principle position that we've adopted in AU Core and also I think in other IGs is if an element isn't supported, then we do not kind of put a shall or a should on searching by that because we haven't placed any obligations on the system to actually support that element. So I think they have to go hand in hand. That's kind of how we've built that out. But it looks like that's okay for all the other um elements or the other search parameters look to match up to
Yep.
must support elements. So I think that's fine except for identifier.
And the
Or
Okay, I'll pull
organization.
identifier.
organization.
Sorry, and organization. Yeah, I'll pull those.
Brett?
Yeah, I'm not sure any of these should be in core because
I think
it's
name is
yeah,
about the only one I think is useful. Sort of
yeah,
along what Richard
perhaps if
was
you had
saying.
if you had a standard naming scheme,
I mean,
sure. It's
well,
yeah, yeah, I think it's yeah, because I think mostly it'll be like in context it'll be access through other things, and until identifier is defined, which I think we probably
I think we
might
need
think
to.
about doing that. But
Mm.
I think it needs, like, I know for SMD there was a specific use of identifier and there was a specific system URL for a particular type of identifier. I dropped a link in the chat, but that's like a specific usage. So I think in core, it's almost like, unless you were thinking about reverse includes and I don't know. I'd like because I don't think it because like I don't see any point of searching by connection type or
what if we
payload
just
type.
did may on all of these except
Yeah,
I may on name, may on payload type, may on content
yeah,
type, and may on status. I mean, yeah, status
yeah.
maybe you
Because
Daniel, I
should.
went back and forth. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think Heath, you're right. Name's the most useful one, but I think that's fraught with
But
like
they're,
I'm not
they're
even sure that's very
combinations.
valuable.
I like its name plus connection type. That it's the
Mhm.
combinations, but I don't think we've got enough experience yet to work it out.
No,
No,
and
yeah,
including
I think what
include as well.
Richard's saying makes sense. Yeah, what Richard's it makes sense. Most of the lookups are done through a practitioner role or a healthcare
Mm.
service or some other thing. So it's yeah, so it's more access through being referenced by other things.
hmm
Yeah.
I'm surprised that org's not in here, to be honest. Like custodian.
We had org
Or man,
originally.
yeah.
Mm.
But managing org is like the owner of the endpoint, not the healthcare service necessarily, right? So this is the whole thing you have to work through. It's like how are these structured? So it's great to know it's run by HealthLink, but you have no idea which service it's
So the
actually
So
connected to.
underscore
Yeah.
ID, is that perhaps one that we need to make a
Yeah.
shell or something?
Yeah, maybe that one.
Or should
Yeah, actually that's probably good.
So if we make ID a shall, remove anything that's not a must support, put everything else to may.
Well, there's no value in underscore ID unless you're doing sorry,
Yeah,
things might be it's a target of an underscore include, which I think
Yeah.
what you're alluding to, Brett, is how
Yeah,
this
that's
is going to
probably
work.
yeah, that would probably be useful because the include is useful. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you'll go
Nice.
include endpoints for this org or include endpoints for this healthcare service. Yeah.
Sure.
Is it a shell though?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I think we stay with Maze.
All right, I'm happy with Maze.
We have a couple of
That's
options.
true.
Let me just look up what we typically do for things that are like standalone resources that are of this nature. Okay. So of the standard capability statement items, we have in the past done should underscore ID. I'm just checking that across. Yeah, all the other resources in AU Core say should underscore ID. So I don't think that this one deserves
No.
promotion to a shall.
Agree.
Okay, so should underscore ID. Simple.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do.
And then we're happy for the rest that are must support that are must supports to be may.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I will make those changes. I'll flick to responder quickly because it's virtually the same. So if we want to keep them hand in hand and make the same changes, I'm happy to do that as well.
We normally, I think in AU Core, we've been consistent between the two, haven't we? We haven't
Yeah.
had different search parameters for requesters and responders. Danielle?
Not really.
Or Dushan? I'm pretty sure they're always consistent.
Are we moving to a motion?
I would like to.
Yes, and I will just answer Michael Wilson's question before we do that. There have only been like a couple of incredibly exceptional circumstances where they've been different. Otherwise, absolutely, these would be exactly the same. And I think that's the case here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So if everyone's happy, then I will make a motion for the requester and responder search parameters to be included with only must supports as may and the ID as should, or underscore ID, I should say. Everything else will be removed.
Okay, so just looking at that then, so that would be should on ID, may on status, a may on connection type, a may on payload type, and a may on name.
Correct.
And
For both requester and responder.
so identifier and organization then get dropped out, is that right?
Yep.
Correct, because they're not MS.
Yep.
Okay. If that's clear enough, is anyone interested in seconding that motion?
I'll second that, Richard.
Thanks, Richard. Are there other questions or comments on that motion? No. So I will launch the vote for that motion. A couple more if we can. All right, I'll end that in 3, 2, 1. So we have 19 plus 1 in the chat, so 20 affirmative, 0 negative, and 3 abstain. So that motion has passed.
Thank you. That is all I have today.
Okay. So that's the end of endpoint. I'll share back my. Oh, actually, Heath, it's on to you, I think, next. And you've got more than the 10 minutes of allocated. You've got 15 if you want it.
I don't think I need it. Okay, so last week we had an information session on AU Core Bundle. It's AU Core Document Bundle. It was a proposal to basically bring this profile into AU Core R3 with this scope and usage. We basically went through this. There was no concerns with this scope and usage, but when I'm not really going to. I'm going to skim through to give some context. So let me just go through this because in the end we've going to have a motion to defer. But the idea of this AU Core document bundle is that it is the minimum expectations for generating, storing, discovering, and viewing clinical documents for a subject of care within Australia. As the main driver for this is to underpin the existing AU patient summary so that a new release of patient summary in the future could derive from this core profile, but also be the basis of any future clinical documents within Australia. So there didn't seem to be any concern about that profile, that scope of definition or purpose. This was pretty much the set of elements that were discussed as candidates for being included in the proposal. So we're looking at an identifier type, timestamp plus a composition entry, which is mandatory anyway, and a patient, because we've made it in the context of a subject of care, which would normally be optional in the base profile. So we went through and we had some pretty good consensus on those particular elements as being must support. That we did have some discussion about some other elements around things like signature and confidentiality. And we also put out there whether we wanted to discuss or change any of the obligations and on any of the particular elements that we must support other than the defaults. And so there wasn't too much problem there. But then we went to search parameters and we really got stuck because of there being things around like the type was, it's always document, the type is, there's a timestamp that's probably not clinically relevant, it's more administrative or server orientated. And then all of the composition has chaining, so the useful things around patients and then composition type and dates and stuff. So we really got a little bit stuck. We did sort of work through, and as you can see, there's lots of maze, etc., a bit like endpoint in the past. So what we've kind of got to was the point that yeah, so we went through and looked at what parameters and stuff, but we wasn't really mature enough for us to have enough experience on for us to bring this into core. And so we sort of finalized this around, and perhaps this wasn't a very well stated question, but we talked about what, how important was it for us to bring this AU Core document bundle into this particular release of AU Core. So you can sort of see the feedback from the people that attended the information session there, and the majority was sort of suggesting that it could wait until we had a little bit more experience with this in general, rather than just in the case of patient summary. And even with patient summary, we have not really been had too much experience with querying by bundle, and because there's other things like $summary for generation, and there's also a docref. So again, it's just there's many ways that we haven't really got too much experience in how we're actually going to use searching on bundles, although things like the elements were pretty non-contentious. So as a result, what I would like to bring to your today, and I'll come to you, Richard, before I actually raise the motion, but basically the point, basically proposing that we defer this until the future release of AU Core. So Richard, you did have your hand up. It's down at the moment.
I guess I'm thinking that probably bundle is a bit like endpoint. You don't go looking for the bundle. You get to the bundle through something else. And in this case, it's the composition. And that might affect, and that might be why some of this stuff is hard, is because you don't actually go looking for the bundle. You buy the bundle's properties, you go looking for the bundle by the composition's properties. But I like the idea of deferring. So that's why I put my hand down.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because the document contains the composition, so you can't look for the composition without going through the bundle. But there are these other mechanisms like document reference and the like, so which might then link to the bundle, etc. So yes, I won't go into details, but you're absolutely right, which is why we're kind of in this situation at the moment. So we did consider maybe a profile only, but then we needed to look at what is the capability statement, and without search parameters sorted, there's not much of a capability statement. So that's why we've landed with this proposal to defer. So if there's no more comments, I'm more than happy to basically motion that we defer the inclusion of AU Core document bundle profile until a future release of AU Core.
Thanks, Heath, for that motion. Is anyone interested in seconding this motion?
I'm happy to second. Landon Riley.
Thanks, Landon. Are there any other comments on this? I will just note that if we did want it in R3, we only have this meeting to do it in, which we wouldn't be able to get it through this meeting. We would have the opportunity to do a out of session if there was keen interest in doing this and we wanted to squeeze it into R3, we could do an out of session to try and get it in. But yeah, we would have to do extra work in order to do that. So just noting that if we did not want to defer it, we'd have to find the time and the people interested to continue this work. But otherwise, we can work on it in a future release.
Yep. What work has been done on having an AU base profile of document bundle?
Oh, we should probably also then take that off session, which might also go to why we need to defer this, because there's more discussion. There are some schools of thought around that. I'm happy to catch up with you about that, Richard. Part of that is also that some of the resources that we have are so abstract that having an AU-based profile makes no sense. So
Okay.
AU Core Document Bundle, even in and of itself, is already a use case thing. How do you actually just AU base the bundle profile? There's no terminology we can adjust. We have no identifiers. So there's nothing that we actually have is kind of the thinking at the moment.
Right. Good. That's what that's what I feared. Thank you.
Okay. There's no other questions. I will launch the vote. So this motion is to defer document bundle to a future AU Core release. Okay, I'm going to end that in 3, 2, 1. So we have 18 plus 1 in the chat, 19 affirmative, 0 negative, and 4 abstain. So that motion has passed. We will defer it. Won't go away. It'll come back around, but it's not for R3.
Good point, Danielle, as well. There are actually 2 wiki or Confluence pages, one which is about that discussion. So I'll include them in the slides and paste them here in the chat in a moment when I find them. There's a second one, which is actually a vendor support page as well. So if vendors do want to fill that out, obviously the priority is not high, but just to let you know that those pages were created for this particular artifact, which we'll obviously revisit in the future.
Okay, I'll take the share back. So well done, everyone. We got through a mammoth amount in this meeting today. I wasn't sure we were going to get there. We did, and we got time to spare. But Danielle, I might throw you under the bus here. Do you want to
Sure.
talk about the
Give me the slide.
road to ballot?
Okie dokie. Right. So content closure just happened. We have no more agreements we can make. So what we're going to be so our next call is going to be running through any of the governance approvals looking to come into the ballot position. I think we've already flagged in this conversation a number of things where people have raised items that we probably do want to consider, but we also actually think we can deal with them in ballot. So there will therefore be an expectation that there will be those items raised and maybe voted on. And we'll talk about that in a future meeting. So that we can deal with that in the ballot period. So, next meeting is us confirming the ballot scope. It's running through and looking at what is the AU variance statement. That's a governance kind of requirement around are we actually fully meeting all of BASE's requirements? And we'll be doing the AFMM one. Now, this is actually quite critical, so please don't skip this meeting. Things that are not AFMM one cannot go to ballot. And we haven't actually voted on that for any of our new profiles. So we've got to do that next call. And one of the requirements for that is they're already in like a build branch. So we're going to bring that to the next call. We're going to walk through it. Dushika, I think you're available for this one. You're going to like go through everything for people, and then we will vote to confirm what we're actually really happy to take in the ballot. So the next meeting is quite critical. In between this meeting and sort of that other one, there'll be a AU kind of like a firework group call where we get that endorsed because that's governance business. From there, we will like dot all the I's, cross all the T's, make sure everything is perfect, and then do an absolutely final walkthrough in the next call after that, ready for publication of this. Now, what we actually don't have is kind of this conversation where we're going to need to do an AU Core snapshot of this new stuff because we've got a Spark testing event on the 8th of July, right? So we're going to want to, I think it's the 3rd of July, publish a snapshot to kind of bring into the Spark testing event. So we'll see what we can do for that. And I guess we really need to be prioritizing from an IG editor perspective the normative content and just try to put that through, and then we can work through any of the editorial or otherwise later. Okay, and then sort of like finishing off the whole what's coming up then. So from the point of like the end of July, we will be publishing our ballot snapshot for AU Core. And from then on, it's looking at ballot process 101, including how those who are eligible for ballot voting and those who aren't participate in the ballot process, because everyone on this call and everyone in the community does participate in the ballot process. Looking then into coming into our ballot for working standard period, where there'll be a connectathon where we're going to test out all of those decisions that we have made to kind of confirm whether or not there are anything that we really need to tweak. So that's sort of the plan for like the upcoming couple of months. Any comments, Michael?
No, that's great. I think, like you said, we'll do that snapshot for the Spark testing event. Everything will be in draft. It'll be best efforts for that. So we might not have everything in there for that testing event, but we definitely will for the next Connectathon, because we'll be in ballot then, I think, for the next Connectathon. So that always works well, is having a Connectathon in the ballot period, because that's your opportunity to test what's in ballot, and if we find any issues, we raise them as ballot issues. So that one works well on having that Connectathon in the ballot period. So other than that, yeah, thank you everyone for getting us this point where we've made all our key decisions now for AU Core Release 3. Now we'll work through the prep to get all that set and ready for ballot coming up in the coming months. So this has been a really, really great community-driven effort for this Release 3 as well. We can see the community bringing things now in rather than kind of being driven by sort of sparked. So we've seen great community engagement for R3, and when we're looking towards R4, it'll be the same. More of what do we need next? What's next on the agenda that we need in AU Core? So thank you everyone for your efforts, and we'll see you in the future calls. A couple of minutes back.
Well done, Michael.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.